Hi guys, so I remember I brought a video about amazing places to visit in Croatia, and a few persons said in that video that I should bring more videos about Croatia. Croatia is such a beautiful place. In fact, I think that was my first time of ever, exploring that beautiful country, and I was like, okay, say no more, I'm going to bring amazing video. So today's video is from the Royal Croatian Tour, so you expect something beautiful today, okay? Titled Travel Advice for Croatia, 18 things you need to know before traveling to Croatia. So I feel like before traveling to a new country, you need to know some specific things. So in today's video, this beautiful lady is going to be taking us through this and letting us know her best advice for tourists, obviously. Okay, but before we dive into the video, make sure you hit that red subscribe button. Drop your comment on what you think about the video. If you're from Croatia, if you have additional information, additional advice for tourists that would love to visit a place, make sure you drop in the comment section. Okay, let's dive straight into this video.
Major fines there, major tickets, just don't do it. They actually implemented this new rule a couple years ago. There will be fees and the exchange rate may not be the very best, so just have that in mind. Hi everybody and welcome back to our channel. I'm Sarah, a Canadian expat living in Croatia, and today I'm going to talk about some things you need to know before you visit this beautiful country. Maybe you're planning a trip to Croatia or you have one booked already, then this video is definitely going to be helpful to you. Voltages and outlets. We have different voltages and outlets here in Croatia. Here the voltage is 220 volts and back in North America it's about 110 volts, so it's quite the difference. Make sure you bring an adapter from home so you're able to charge all of your devices. But that being said, some devices don't convert well even with an adapter, and those are things like hair styling tools, hair straighteners, hair dryers. They just don't work here. They'll often just burn out in the outlets when you plug them in, even with an adapter. So leave your styling tools at home.
Oh my gosh, you can buy an inexpensive machine.
But things like laptops and phones and tablets, they usually convert normally. One little tip is if you see a range of voltages printed either on your device or its charger, so it might say 110 to 220 volts, and that means it's safe to use at 110 volts all the way to 220 volts. Driving. There are a couple rules here that some North Americans break without even realizing it, just because they're so normal to do back home. So one rule is turning right on a red. I know back in North America that's normal. You can do it as long as it's safe to do so. Here you cannot turn right on a red. So you have to stop and either wait for a green arrow or for the light just to be green to go straight. Do not turn right on a red here. Another rule is turning left over a double lane of traffic coming the other way. For example, if you're coming out of a parking lot and you want to turn left, you can't do that if there are these two lanes of traffic going the other way. So you cannot cross over these double lanes and go left. You actually have to turn right, and then you can turn left at the next lights and turn around. So no turning right on a red and no turning left over a double lane of traffic. Major fines there, major tickets, just don't do it. Another note about driving is the speed limit on highways and freeways. Here it is 130 kilometers an hour. Back in North America, it's 100 kilometers an hour, so it's quite the difference. Just keep that in mind if you're driving along the highways, keep up with the speed of traffic. 130 is the limit here. Of course, it does drop in some places, so always have your eyes on the signs, but in general, 130 is the speed limit on the highway here. Also, if you're renting a car and you need any roadside assistance for any reason, dial this number here. It's the number for HOC, which is the Croatian Automobile Club, and they will come and help you out. A couple notes about gas. Gas is much more expensive here than it is in North America, so keep that in mind if you're planning a trip and you're planning to rent a car. Just keep that in mind for costs. And also about gas, when you pump your gas first and then you go inside afterwards to pay. So there's no pay at the pump. You pump your gas and then you go inside and you pay the cashier. Taxis. Taxis are quite expensive here, but the apps Uber and Bolt are quite widespread throughout the country. So if you use those apps back home, they're easily transferable here and you can just keep on using them while you're in Croatia. As I said, they're pretty widespread throughout the country, so you should really never have an issue finding a ride using those apps. Cash on hand. Always make sure you have just a little bit of cash on hand when you're traveling through Croatia. Not everywhere accepts cards yet. All of the bigger places, the restaurants, stores, they all accept cards typically, but some smaller places, cafes, especially in bakeries, they really only accept cash. So if you're going to sit down for a coffee or a drink or grab a pastry from the bakery, just make sure you have cash on hand. Also, open markets. There are so many open markets to explore throughout Croatia, and of course they only accept cash too, so that's just another reason to have a few kunas on hand.
coffee and
For all you
cafes.
coffee drinkers, there's one thing to note. Don't order yourself a coffee with cream. I know that's typical to drink in North America, coffee and cream, but here that doesn't really exist. If you order coffee with cream, you'll likely get a coffee with whipped cream on top, not your regular cream. Instead, order coffee with milk. Here they drink coffee with milk. They
with
don't drink
milk,
coffee
not
with cream, but the milk is a heavier milk, so it kind of acts like a cream and it's still excellent. So you will enjoy just as much. Another thing about coffee is that when you order coffee, you'll always get a nice glass of water on the side. And that comes automatically. You don't have to ask for it. It's just how they serve coffee here, always with a glass of water, which I think is just such a nice touch. So if you're out exploring and you sit for a coffee, you don't have to order a bottle of water if you're thirsty too. You'll get a glass and you can refresh yourself and keep on exploring. So now just a couple notes about restaurants, because if you do travel through Croatia, it's likely that you're going to have a meal or two at a restaurant. So when you're at a restaurant and you're finished your meal, don't expect that your server will just automatically bring your bill when he or she sees that you're finished your meal, because they just don't do that here. They don't want to seem like they're rushing you out or pushing you out, so they kind of just let you be. And then when you are ready to pay, you're ready for your bill, then just wave down your waiter and he or she will bring it right over. But just don't expect that they're going to come with your bill automatically. And on that note, the servers just don't come to your table as much as they do in North America. They'll likely come about 3 times, one to take your order, to bring your food, and then to bring your bill at the end when you're ready for it and when you ask for it. So just don't expect that they will come around often. If you need something, flag them down and then they'll bring over whatever you need. Another thing about restaurants is if you order a Coke, they won't bring you a big cup that was filled right from the soda fountain. They will bring you a small glass bottle with another glass on the side to pour it into, and they usually have about 2 or 3 ice cubes in that cup. That's another thing. If you like a lot of ice in your drinks, then don't forget to ask your server for extra ice, or you'll get the standard 2 or 3 cubes in the bottom of your glass. I know how North Americans like their icy drinks, so just ask for extra ice. Tipping. I get this question so much from almost all of our guests that come to Croatia. What is tipping culture like in Croatia? How much should you tip? Well, tipping culture here isn't as huge as it is back in North America, but people still do tip. It's really common to kind of round up your bill. So say you got 2 coffees and it came to 18 kunas, then leaving 20 kunas would be fine. Or you went for a meal and it was 90 kunas, then leaving 100 kunas would be fine. But of course you can leave however much you like based on the service you received, but that's just kind of a little guideline for you. But people really do appreciate tips here. The salaries are just quite a lot lower than they are back in North America, so tips really do go a long way. Language. The official language here is Croatian, but almost everybody knows at least some English. So you won't have any trouble here if you don't know a word of Croatian, especially in the more touristy areas. I think it would be hard to find someone that didn't know at least a little bit of English. So don't worry about that. You don't have to know any Croatian before your trip, but if you do put in a little effort and learn a phrase or two, the locals will be very impressed, and they're always happy to see when foreigners do make an effort and learn a word or two. Communication. Most people in Croatia have switched to using the apps WhatsApp or Viber to communicate via text message instead of your classic SMS message. People just don't really send those regular text messages anymore. It's usually always through an app. So have that in mind, because if you booked a tour or an excursion on your trip here, a lot of the times the guides will ask if you have WhatsApp just to have easier communication, and it's just great for them to get any last minute information to you quickly before the tour starts. Pain relief medication like Advil and Tylenol, you can only get that kind of stuff at the pharmacy. You cannot get that at a grocery store or a corner store or any other store. It's sold exclusively at the pharmacy. And pharmacies usually have shorter working hours, so just keep that in mind. If you feel a headache coming on, make sure you get to the pharmacy in time so you can get some pain relief. One more thing to keep in mind is that a lot of the time pharmacies are actually closed on Sundays. If they are open, it will be a shorter working day, and that actually goes for stores in general here in Croatia on Sundays. On Sundays, things are open until about 1 or 2 p.m. and then they close. So just know that if you're planning to go shopping or planning to buy some food. Plitvice Lakes National Park. It is one of the most beautiful national parks in Croatia, and it's probably the most visited national park in Croatia. It's the one with the stunning waterfalls. I'm sure you've seen pictures. So if you're planning to go there, they actually implemented this new rule a couple years ago that you have to buy your tickets at least 48 hours in advance. And it's better the further in advance that you buy them, because then you can get your desired time slot. So they actually sell them by time slots, and they only allow a certain amount of people in at each hour. So the further in advance you buy them, the better, because then you can enter the park at the time that you want to enter the park, whether it be in the morning or an afternoon slot. It would be a pity to get here having planned to see the national park and then you don't have a ticket and you can't go. Emergency number in Croatia is 112. Make sure you know that. Anyone traveling or living in Croatia should know that number, 112. If anything happens, just dial that number, 112. Tap water. Tap water is safe to drink here, so you don't have to stock up on bottled water if you're staying at an Airbnb or a guest house. You can drink right from the tap. It's delicious and it's clean and it's safe to drink.
Nice.
If you're planning on spending any time at the beach here in Croatia, which I highly recommend you do because Croatia has really some of the most beautiful beaches in the world, then you should definitely invest in a pair of water shoes. Most of the beaches here are pebbly, not sandy, so it could be rough on your feet if you don't have anything on your feet when you come in and out of the sea. So I suggest getting a pair of those beautiful water shoes. Your feet will thank you, and it will just make your experience going in and out of the sea a lot more pleasant. TV and movies. Croatians do watch a lot of American movies and TV shows, and they are not dubbed, so they will be in English with Croatian subtitles, which means that if you're on holiday here and you want to relax at the end of the day and just watch a show or a movie, there will likely be many playing in English and they won't be dubbed in Croatian. They'll be in English with Croatian subtitles, so you can just relax and enjoy some familiar shows from back home. The exception to that is cartoons. They do dub kids' cartoons just because kids can't keep up with the subtitles when they're young, but that's really the only exception. Everything else is in the language that it was originally made. Another thing to note is there's often free Wi-Fi in the city centers in bigger cities throughout Croatia, and also in the airports. So if you're around an airport waiting for a flight, or you're just hanging out in the city center, check your available networks. You might just be in store for some free Wi-Fi, and you can save on that data and roaming that you have from back home. The Schengen zone. Croatia is not yet in the Schengen zone, even though it joined the EU in 2013. We're still not in the Schengen zone yet. We will be eventually, we're just not there yet. This means you still need a passport to cross from Croatia to another EU country. So if you're staying in Zagreb and you want to take a day trip to Slovenia, which is very close by and it's in the EU, you need your passport to get to that country, so don't leave it in a safe back in the hotel, which some people do if they're taking an excursion somewhere. Make sure you bring your passport with you, or they will turn you back at the border and you'll have to go back and get your passport. Currency. Croatia is still on the kuna. We are not yet on the euro, although we expect to be in the near future. But for now, we're still on the kuna, so don't load up on a bunch of euros back home, because you'll just have to exchange them when you get here into kuna. So if it's possible, get some kunas from your bank before you come to Croatia. That way you'll just have a little bit of cash on hand in case you need it. Another thing I get asked about all the time are the ATMs. Do they accept foreign cards? Yes, they do. So if you don't get kunas from back home, not a big deal. You can always use the ATMs here. Put your card in, and of course it will give you kunas. Just don't forget that there will be fees, and the exchange rate may not be the very best, so just have that in mind.
Oh, wow.
At the moment, a little over 6 kunas is $1 American, and about 5 kunas is $1 Canadian. That's it for this video. I hope you found a few helpful tips in here for your upcoming trip or your move to Croatia. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you again soon.
There is no way you would not appreciate this advice. I mean, this is great advice. Imagine going to Croatia without having like the basic knowledge about this place. Oh my gosh. I feel like Croatia is a place where they actually make room for tourists, because it is such an open place. Not what I mean is that tourists are so welcome. You find it easy peasy. But imagine going to a place, any country, and then you do not, thank God for YouTube, thank God for YouTube, because imagine going to a country where, and you do not even watch like basic advice, places to visit, what to take, language, those things. How would you be able to navigate? I think we've mentioned in a few videos of ours where we talked about how important it is for you as a tourist when you're going to a country, how it is important that you need to know like basic things about this country, about the people, the culture, the currency, basic things, mode of transportation, the weather, important details. This video, like, it encompasses a lot of things. In fact, the first one was what shocked me. She said, like, your adapters, if you're coming from America, because of the voltage and the voltages, they are different. So if you bring, like, especially styling tools, they might burn, because the voltage might be too high for your styling tool. So it's better for you not. Imagine not watching a video like this and you take all your styling tool, your hair straightener, your hair dryer, your hot comb. Imagine taking all your styling tools and then they would all burn. So this is a very important advice. In fact, she talked about emergency number, which is very important for tourists. If you're a tourist and you don't know the emergency number of the country you are visiting, then it is not safe for you. Emergency number, the currency. She even mentioned, how much $1 US is in kuna. That's the currency they use in Croatia. She talked about a lot. She talked about currency, their culture. Imagine going to a cafeteria, and then you order for a cup of coffee, and then you are given a glass of water. You'll be shocked, you'll be surprised, because this is my first time. I've never heard, in a place or where you order for coffee and then you are given water. So you don't have to buy water. It's just like it's served together. Beautiful, isn't it? So I feel like these are very important tips that every tourist needs to know when going to Croatia. If you found this advice really helpful, please click the red subscribe button, subscribe, like this video. You can go back. I'm going to drop the link to this video in my description box, so you can go there and watch again, and really enjoy. This is amazing advice. If you're Croatian, what are those advice you would give to tourists who are coming to the country probably for the first time? What advice would you give them, that will help them have a successful travel and vacation? Please drop in the comment section. Do well to like, share, subscribe, turn on post notification bell, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.